We are done paying the taxes. That's what some business owners over in Oakland, California are saying because of all of the crime and theft. They're tired of it. They're fed up. They're going to stop paying the taxes because that's the only way to get the government's attention. And thank you, Matthew, for sending this story over to me, because this is something that I have been saying that everybody should be doing right now, not just business owners in Oakland. If you're tired of the high insurance premiums and the high property taxes and being bled to death on your property, then everybody should stop paying their taxes. But we know that's probably not going to happen. But these people can give us an example of how it's done. So think about this. You have business owners in the city of Oakland, California that have to pay taxes when they make sales. They have to pay real estate taxes if they own the building, right? But yet, whenever something happens, whenever there's a crime, whenever somebody's trying to rob them, there's no cops to be found, which are the city services that they're paying for. Over at Cybel's Pizza in the Diamond District, they said that they're scared for their lives right now. One guy actually had to pull out a hammer on somebody in order to stop them from robbing the place. He said he was prepared because it was the second time that somebody tried to rob his business. And he said that they're really struggling right now. Sales have dropped 20%. And a lot of other business owners in the area feel the same way. So one business owner, his name is Jose Ortiz, over at La Perla restaurant in Oakland. He says enough is enough. We're frustrated. We're not going to pay taxes to the city until they give us what we want. And he started what he's hoping will be a citywide movement where business owners stop paying taxes to the city of Oakland until they receive services which include police patrols and cleaner streets. He's even going to be hiring a tax lawyer in case the city of Oakland decides to come after them. So far, he has a few different people that are joining his movement, which is a positive start. And you know what Oakland's mayor says about this? He goes, since the summer of 2023, Oakland's business districts have experienced a reduction in most property crimes. Government at all levels is working for Oaklanders, and I won't stop until every Oaklander feels safe in our city. Our friend the leaf blower is back in full force. Not just the leaf blower, but the leaf trimmer, everybody. So once again, typical political speak, oh, crime is going down, and I'm not going to stop until everybody feels safe. Like, well, clearly people don't feel safe. It's affecting businesses tremendously. It's like, when do you start doing something about it, guys? When do you start arresting all of these people? Maybe they haven't hit the tipping point like San Francisco. They're starting to, say, okay, we're going to start arresting people again because it's getting out of control. Like, how far does it need to go before they get their act together? So these business owners are not really sure if this tax boycott's going to work or not, but they're willing to give it a try. And I just love that they're doing this, guys, because that was an idea that I had that I think more people should try in order to get government's attention. Maybe you don't even actually have to stop paying, but if enough business owners or enough residents threaten to stop paying, maybe that's all that it takes to get their attention and start turning things around. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see what happens from this. But I wouldn't be expecting anything to turn around overnight there, because Oakland has been a crime-ridden city for decades, and to just turn it around in a couple of weeks or a couple of years isn't going to happen. So now they're looking to put together a meeting at the end of this month with business owners and city council members to try and work this whole thing out so it doesn't come to a boiling point. So we'll see. And I think people should take the same approach to getting these politicians out of office too. The ones that are constantly, making deals for their buddies and doing everything that benefits them and their circle. Meanwhile, the rest of the state or their district gets neglected because they're in office now and they can do whatever they want. Like, to just give one small local example of this where I live, in Miami Beach, we just elected a new mayor a few months ago, back in November. And so far, it has been great, guys. You guys have heard about Miami and Florida being closed for spring break. It's true. This is the slowest time I've ever seen during spring break since I've lived here in 16 years, guys. And guess what? Every single time there's a shooting or somebody gets killed or you have all these robberies and big acts of vandalism and all this, guess when it happens? It happens during spring break, and it happens during Memorial Day weekend. So I hope they do the same thing here in the city for Memorial Day weekend and just shut everybody out, guys. Like, you're not welcome here anymore. People have proven they can't take care of the place, they can't act respectably and civil. We don't want you here, is basically what we're saying. And thanks to our new mayor in Miami Beach, that is happening, okay? And that's just one example of how one small change, one different person getting elected can make a difference, you know? A lot of people say, oh, my vote doesn't count. Well, that's not true, because if this guy wouldn't have gotten elected mayor and somebody else did, it would probably be another big free-for-all, and you'd be hearing about the body count by now. Also, our new mayor says he's going to be tackling the traffic problem. He knows how bad the congestion is here in Miami Beach, and he's vowed to do something about that. Whether or not he will, whether or not his solutions will make a difference, I don't know yet. It's too soon to tell. He's only been in office for a couple of months, but I'm rooting for him because I voted for him, and I think he's doing a fantastic job so far. He's also cracking down on crime, okay, and starting to actually enforce some of the laws we have here. And those are the kind of people we need in office right now. We need people who are willing to do the right thing and to crack down on people who are breaking the law. It's not that far-fetched of an idea, people. Now, I'm sure many of you heard by now that inflation has ticked higher as of February, okay? Went up 3.2% annually, and in January the number was 3.1% annually. So it's safe to say that inflation is accelerating, not decelerating. It's getting worse, it's not getting better. But every story that I've seen about it so far finds a way to twist it into a positive somehow. They go, well, you know, even though inflation is going up, you know, prices at the grocery store are remaining flat now, so at least that's a good thing. Okay, yeah, food prices are up almost, you know, 30-40% over the past few years, but yeah, let's celebrate that it's not going up anymore. I suppose that is a positive. I'm not saying that it isn't, but to sit there and say that this is the reason we should all be happy is kind of ridiculous. And it's actually accelerating more than they hoped, because on a monthly basis, CPI rose by 0.4% in February, which is the fastest pace that we've seen since September of last year. But yet the stock market are cheering this on and calling this a positive. You know, the stock market's willing to call anything a positive lately because inflation came down in a few categories. So they're just looking for any reason to celebrate at this point. But guess what pushed inflation higher in February? Gas prices and the continued steady rise in shelter costs. Combined, those two categories are responsible for 60% of the monthly increase. So once again, guys, the stuff that we need the most, a place to live and fuel for our vehicles, continues to go up and continues to be a big expense in our daily lives. And then the government is going to sit there and celebrate. It's just not getting as expensive as it was before. You know, it's increasing at 3.2%, and it's not at 9% or 6% where it was before. Like, so what? It's still getting more expensive. And then they say things like this to get people jazzed up about the economy. They say, excluding gas and food prices that tend to be more volatile, core inflation only rose 0.4% from the month before, bringing its annual rate to 3.8%, which is actually a slowdown from the 3.9% in January. So they find ways to twist this into something that you're supposed to believe is a positive when in fact it's not. So that's what I'm saying, guys. You have to be careful, because a lot of people just read headlines and they don't look any deeper than that. And just reading a full story sometimes can give you a much clearer picture of what's actually happening out there than just reading a headline somewhere. You know, because they're saying you take away gas and food, inflation is going down. Oh, that's great. Well, it still means things are getting more expensive, just at a slower pace, and we all need gas, food, and housing. So there's that. Just on the annual basis right now, shelter prices are still up 5.7% year over year, guys. So that's still higher than what most people are getting for raises right now, and it's still just too high. But I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. You know, people that are doing okay, that own assets, they own real estate, they have money in the stock market, they have a portfolio that's performing well right now, and you own other types of assets, it's easy for people like that to say, yeah, things are going great right now. Here's a new study that came out recently I thought was interesting. They say that Most renters say that they would be happier if they were homeowners. When asked, people say that the single biggest benefit of homeownership, the most common answer was privacy, and renters say it's stability. They say that on every single aspect of life, from overall quality of life to mental health, homeowners are more satisfied than renters. 69% of renters right now say that owning a home would make them happier. At the same time, 60% of renters say that homeownership is completely out of reach financially speaking. So this could actually just be one of those things where people want what they can't have and they think it'll make them happy, and therefore that's why they're saying this. Maybe there's actually no truth to this, but who knows? Let's read on. The study found that on average, homeowners rate their overall happiness at 7.5 out of 10, which is 20% higher than where renters rate their happiness at just 6.2. Moreover, renters report 22% higher stress levels with an average score of 6.2 out of 10 compared to homeowners with an average rating of 5.1 out of 10. So it's not that big of a difference, guys. 1 point difference. Homeowners still have a lot of stress to deal with, especially when you have lots of problems around the house and rising expenses. It also says that 2 in 3 renters, 67% of them, are stressed about their finances, compared with fewer than half of homeowners at only 44%. Now, I believe that that could just come down to responsibility, guys. Like, for example, a lot of people that buy homes are homeowners because they have more financial discipline than somebody who's renting. I'm not saying that's always the case. Clearly, there's the big bank of mom and dad these days that is, giving a leg up to people to become homeowners that didn't actually earn it themselves. But traditionally speaking, if somebody has the willpower to put money aside every single month, keep their credit score high, and to pay down their debt, then that person is definitely going to be less stressed about finances than somebody who's not doing that. And typically somebody who's not doing that is going to be a renter instead of a homeowner, just statistically speaking. They say that 86% of renters are also more likely than homeowners to not consider themselves financially comfortable. 90% of homeowners say they're happier overall since they bought a home, and another 80% say owning a home was the best decision they ever made. So clearly this is a huge cheerleading story about why everybody should be a homeowner and just how much happier you're going to be if you become one. Now, I can say that there is some truth to this, because as somebody that rented for a long time and then bought my own home, I would say that my overall happiness level is higher, but maybe not for the same reasons that this outlines here. My main concern was I didn't want to always have to be threatened to move out, okay? Because I don't like moving a lot. So that was like one of my biggest reasons to buy, other than the fact that owning became cheaper than renting when I bought my place. So that was obviously the other factor. It was just a sound money decision, let's pay less and own something versus pay more and rent. It was a no-brainer. But I can tell you one thing, guys, when you become a homeowner, it's going to be more expensive than you anticipated it to be. That was even the case for me. Even somebody with a lot of real estate experience, I knew that there was going to be certain expenses that were going to go up, but not to the extent that they did. Okay, so that was kind of like the surprise factor. Okay, you think your expenses are going to go up by maybe $400 or $500 a month, and then they go up by $1,000 a month, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's also not all roses and sunshine for everybody, because 19% of homeowners say they wish they were still renting. Nearly half of homeowners, 47%, say they miss not having to take care of repairs, and 56% said they wish they could spend less time on maintenance. So there's always a trade-off, okay? If you think it's going to be nothing but sunshine and rainbows owning a home, think again, because there's always going to be a trade-off, guys. More time is going to be spent on the house. More time is going to be spent, maintaining things, trips to Home Depot on your days off. And when something breaks, there's nobody to call except for yourself, unless you have the money to hire everybody to come and fix everything. So 52% of current homeowners say that owning a home is more expensive than they expected, and 43% find it more challenging than expected. Since purchasing their home, 20% of homeowners admit to being in more non-mortgage debt. Well, that just opened up a whole new can of worms right here, because it confirms what I just said. Being a homeowner is going to cost you more than you think for basically everybody, number one. That was my experience. It's probably going to be your experience too if you're looking to make the leap. But notice that last part there, okay? 20% of homeowners admit to being in more non-mortgage debt. So in other words, owning a home is so expensive that people are forced to take on additional debt to probably keep up with the maintenance or repairs of the home. This is something very common that people don't understand. People vastly underestimate the amount of money it's going to cost to maintain your home. Guys like me, I live in a condo, so there's not a whole lot of maintenance to be done inside my unit on a regular basis, but on the flip side, we have special assessments, so the entire building can be maintained, and those special assessments are expensive. On the flip side, if you're in a single family home, you don't have special assessments, but you're gonna have things that come up. Oh, I need a new roof. Oh, I need to replace the AC. Oh, my water heater went out. Different things like that. A pipe burst, who knows? If you don't have the funds, you're gonna put it on the credit card. And 43% find it more challenging than expected. And I would imagine a lot of those challenges are both financial and just from the perspective of maintenance, guys. Like, people don't think they're gonna have to work on the house as much as they actually do in order to just enjoy their home, I think. Once the honeymoon phase is over and people move into the house and they realize, oh wow, there's still a lot of stuff that we got to do around here in order to make this a home, you know? Making a house into a home is a totally different animal, you know? It requires landscaping, it requires furnishing, it requires having the layout of the home function the way that you want it to. It requires making sure that the yard and the bedrooms meet the needs of your family. And people might take this the wrong way, like, oh, you're just telling everybody to never buy a house, Michael, is that it? No, that's not it at all. I do think everybody who wants to become a homeowner should become one at some point, but only when they're ready. And I go over stuff like this on my channel to inform people that you're probably not ready if you're not ready to take on this level of responsibility that we just outlined here. And that's why you get some people that are just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna rent forever, or I prefer to rent. You see this a lot today, and you know, there's even big companies that are taking advantage of this right now, especially in big metro areas like in Miami, or in places where they're pretty much running out of spots to build new housing. You're seeing this become a more common trend where people are preferring to rent than own because owning has gotten so expensive. Basically, nice luxury apartments are the new starter home for the younger generation, okay? Young renters are becoming old renters right now. Over the last 10 years, the average renter is about 29 years old, but today they're 33 years old, and there's also way more renters who are between the ages of 35 and 45 that make over $150K a year, and they're just happy renting. They like that they don't have the responsibility of the homeownership like people were complaining about here. They don't have the extra expense. They don't have to go into extra debt when there's problems. And on top of that, a lot of these rental buildings are in premium locations that you probably wouldn't be able to afford to buy something in either. So there's an extra added benefit to it. These luxury apartment rentals are not just attracting, you know, millennials and Gen Zers. They're also attracting older empty nester people that have sold their homes, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna sell the house. It's too big for us. We're tired of maintaining it. We're getting too old. We're getting in retirement. We just wanna live a nice, luxurious lifestyle and not have to worry about the rest. Just like always, guys, there's always gonna be the pros and cons of renting versus buying, and depending on the stage of life you're in, those pros and cons are gonna be different for everybody. But I wanted to bring up this survey because even though a lot of current homeowners say they're much happier owning than renting, it doesn't necessarily mean you will be, based on your lifestyle and your priorities. So just keep that in mind. I personally don't think that owning a home should be the American dream. I think that the American dream should be financial independence. No matter which route or avenue you need to go to achieve that in your life, it doesn't matter as long as you do achieve it. And financial independence just means that you get to a point one day where you no longer have to work. You can retire comfortably and not have to stress about money for the rest of your life. I think in the end, that's what we all really want. So who cares how you get there? So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.